Come on in. Welcome. This is another episode 41 of the Karat Juice Podcast. Thank you for taking the time and listening to this podcast. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and like the content for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content. Today, we are talking about a pretty serious story. We're talking about a very touchy topic. I'm going to try to do my best to be safe for YouTube. But when I got home from work today, I saw on the news that there was unfortunately a mass shooting here in this country. We've seen this happen far too often. Today, November 30th at Oxford High School in Oakland County, here in my home state of Michigan. This is courtesy of the Detroit Free Press. 3 dead, 8 injured in the shooting. The suspect is in custody and reportedly 15 years old. So I'm going to first start with the report here. This is a sensitive topic. It involves firearms and it involves fatalities. So viewer discretion is advised. And we'll get right into the content here. So, like I said, the source is courtesy of the Detroit Free Press, and it indicates 3 dead, 8 injured in Oxford High School shooting. Suspect is a 15-year-old student. Here's a picture of some of the people during this incident. I could only imagine. People go to school to get an education, to develop themselves, to become better people, and then to go through something like this is just uncalled for. So, a 15-year-old Oxford High School sophomore armed with a semi-automatic handgun is accused of shooting at his school Tuesday afternoon, killing 3 students and injuring 7 others and a teacher. The incident unfolded in about 5 minutes, and police said the shooter, who was not injured, was arrested, turning himself over to officers. Michael McCabe, the Oakland County undersheriff, said at a news conference it appeared the suspect worked alone and investigators are interviewing students and scouring social media for clues to a motive. It also was unclear whether he had targeted anyone. Some students said the suspect was bullied. Meanwhile, pastors and community leaders organized 2 prayer vigils, one at Kensington Church in Lake Orion and the other in Lake Point Community in Oxford for the mourning survivors. As the nation's latest mass shooting draws national media attention, it puts questions of what to do about guns and renews political debates about gun control, violence, and school safety. Governor Gretchen Whitmer at the 5 p.m. news conference called mass shootings a uniquely American problem that needs to be addressed. Later, responding to a reporter's question about how she felt, she nearly broke down. Near tears, she added, "I think this is every parent's worst nightmare." It's unclear whether there were warning signs. Police said they were unaware of them, but some parents and students said they had heard rumors before Tuesday that there would be an incident at the school. Earlier this month, Oxford Schools published a note to parents that it was aware that numerous rumors had circulated throughout our building this week, and the school was reviewing the concerns. For most of the afternoon Tuesday, law enforcement surrounded the school. Helicopters swirled over the snow-covered parking lots, and worried parents took to social media to find out what was going on. "My heart breaks for the students, teachers, staff, and families at Oxford High School," Whitmer said in a statement, calling gun violence a public health crisis and ordering flags to be lowered. The death of multiple students and the shooting of many others, including a teacher, is horrific. She added, "As Michiganders, we have a responsibility to do everything we can to protect each other from gun violence. No one should be afraid to go to school, work, a house of worship, or even their own home." President Joe Biden was briefed by Jake Sullivan, his national security advisor, while traveling in Minnesota, and later said, "My heart goes out to the families that are enduring the unimaginable grief of losing a loved one." Now let's go on to actually what happened during this incident. Goes on to say here, a chaotic scene. Oxford High School students were interviewed by reporters, described a chaotic and confused scene in which a voice came on over the intercom to announce an active shooter. At first, they said they didn't know whether it was a drill, but when they realized it wasn't, they were struck by fear and panic. They said teachers locked and barricaded doors, covered windows, and some students hid. Those with cell phones quietly texted to alert their parents and friends what was happening. Students were in tears. Some students said they could hear loud bangs. By early afternoon, the Oakland County Sheriff's Office said it had taken the suspect and the handgun into custody. Officials said they were shocked and devastated and asked for prayers. The suspect, police said, asked for an attorney. Some parents later said, even before the shooting, rumors had been circulating that a school shooting was going to happen, and some students even said they decided not to attend. Whoa. Robin Redding, the parent of a 12th grader, told the Associated Press that there had been rumblings of trouble at the school. He was not in school today. He just said that, "Ma, I don't feel comfortable. None of the kids that we go to school with are going today." State Representative Gary Howell, a Republican member of the Michigan House of Representatives, tweeted that his son is a teacher at the high school. Howell said it was the scare of his life when he heard the news of the shooting. Thank God we have received word from John that he and his students are safe. He added in his tweet, "Please join us in praying for other students and staff at Oxford." So apparently the victims were rushed to hospitals. A public school in northern Oakland County has about 1,800 students and draws from Oxford Township and parts of Orion, Dryden, Metamora, and Addison townships. The initial 911 call about the shooting, authorities say it came in about 12:51 p.m. and was followed by many more. More than 100 police officers, including the FBI special agent in charge and paramedics, responded. Ambulances took the victims to local hospitals. Police declined to say which ones. Shortly before 1:45 p.m., though, a long line of students could be seen walking west on Ray Road to a nearby mire. Police vehicles, fire trucks, and ambulances surrounded the school, with officers in tactical gear went in and out of the school. Abby Hodder, a 15-year-old sophomore, was in chemistry class when she thought she heard glass breaking. "My teacher kind of ran out and was scrambling," she said. "The next thing I knew, I saw he was pushing tables. It's part of school protocol to barricade. So we all knew barricade down, and we all started pushing tables. They then lined up along a wall and grabbed something to throw. Also part of the active shooter training they've done," Hodder said. But not long after, she added, her teacher told them to jump out of a window and run. Authorities said there didn't appear to be other threats, but were double and triple checking the school, where some students were reportedly hiding, according to parents who were in contact with them. Students with transportation were allowed to leave. Others were told to gather at the mire, which is within walking distance of the school. There's been an outpouring of grief throughout the Metro Detroit area. Residents and public officials expressed condolences. Says here, "We are deeply saddened by today's tragic events in Oxford," the Detroit Tigers tweeted. Attorney General, the state's top law enforcement official said her department reached out to the local law enforcement to offer assistance as the investigation unfolds. "We must act to properly address gun violence in our schools and the ongoing threat of another unconscionable tragedy. If we continue to only offer thoughts and prayers," she said, "our kids deserve better." U.S. Representative Lisa McClain says she can't imagine the pain their families are going through. All right, and it's more of that. Okay. So I'm going to give my thoughts on this. One thing I will say is this has been happening far too much in this country. Flat out. And I know a lot of people are going to point to gun violence, and a lot of people are going to say that is the answer. And if the person didn't have a gun, they wouldn't have been able to cause so much damage. I've heard that same rhetoric for years. We've had multiple mass shootings, especially during the time when Obama was in office, unfortunately. And one thing that I will say, I do not think that people should legally, unless you're military or in some kind of, if you're in military combat or anything like that, you should be having assault rifles. But I do think that people have the right to have guns legally after completing a background check, what have you. But I think it needs to be more conditions, barriers, and also checks on mental health, stability, on if you should be able to carry a gun. I don't think you should be able to carry a gun if you have any impulsive mental health issues, disorders, anything of that nature. And I think that's something that's kind of getting overlooked. This is just my opinion. But what would make somebody wake up, go about their day, grab a firearm, and want to just what seems like randomly end people's lives? That person, by definition, is mentally unstable. And I think it needs to be a higher criteria put on mental stability, health, to be able to legally own a firearm. This does happen too many times in America. And the simple gun violence reform trope is not it. It's not going to fix the problem. Because there are plenty of people who own guns that don't behave in this manner. So it's obviously, like it is with a lot of things, mental instability, lack of self-esteem, cowardice, depression, some bullying mixed in there, but that's not a cop-out. That's not an excuse to go and do that to people. We got to look further and between the lines and look deeper at this situation. And that's something that I wanted to talk about here today. I think a lot of the conversations that people have had about these mass shootings revolves around, how can I put this? The surface level thing. And it doesn't really go to the underlying root of the problem. What can we do as a society to be able to track, when, let's be honest, when some of these weirdos decide to do something like this? Because from all indications, what I don't like to see is after something like this, and I don't want to be insensitive, but after something like this, all of these reports come out and they start talking about how, well, there was rumors and grumblings coming around about possibly something like this was going to happen. And oh yeah, the guy was bullied. And what can we put into place as a society, as a safeguard, to be able to intercept some of these weirdos who, because of their situation, decides to go out and do a cowardly act like this. And it seems like, I mean, I don't know, they haven't came out with it yet, but it seems like this person's probably going to be tried as an adult. Because if you can make the choice to go and do something like this to people, kill people, seemingly at random, there has to be consequences for that. But what do I know? I just hate to see more of this because it almost seems like I'm getting desensitized to these mass shootings, and that's not healthy because I remember 15 years ago when I was in high school, and I remember hearing about Columbine, and that was a shock back then. Do you remember the first time you heard about Columbine? Do you remember what was going through your mind? Do you remember just being like, huh? Somebody opened fire at their school? Somebody murdered multiple people randomly just because they didn't like the situation they were in their life? I couldn't believe it. I was like so shocked by it. Like I couldn't believe that somebody would do something like that. And over time, unfortunately, this has become a recurring theme. I don't have all the answers, but what can we do as a society to mediate this? I don't think that changing a law when it comes to guns is going to help it. I think it's a mental health epidemic and crisis that we're going through, where a lot of people have low self-esteem. A lot of people don't like themselves, don't like where they are in life. And it's crazy. You're in high school. Your life is supposed to suck right now. You're in high school. You're not supposed to have a great life. What could you possibly been going through in your life to make you want to do something like that? A lot of people are straggly and weird looking, and I looked weird in high school. I wasn't the best, I didn't have the best life at that time. You're not supposed to have a great life in high school. So what is making so many of the young people nowadays so mentally weak and fragile that they're deciding to resort to these coward behaviors? That's what I'm trying to get towards. Are we coddling people too much? Whatever happened to just fighting? Have a problem with somebody, you go box it out, you go fight it out. Now kids are resorting to gun violence. And they haven't released the name of this kid. Kid's 15 years old. It's a minor. But I'm trying to get to the deeper underlying issue. Do you think this is, and I'm just talking with you, I'm just shooting the shit with you now. Do you think this is the byproduct of the technology era? Maybe we just don't have enough social interaction with one another anymore. I'm trying to figure this thing out because it's just not making sense to me. It seems like since technology has boomed and since social media has boomed and grown so much in that regard, that it's weakened our social integrity and awareness and fortitude, mental fortitude and toughness. Back in the day, 15 years ago, you had to talk to people. You had to have some kind of awareness of your surroundings. And hey, if people bullied you, so fucking what? You take one on the chin. You fall down, you get back up. Hey, if your life isn't going greatest right now, instead of whining and moping about it, how about you get up, wipe the dirt and blood off of your chin, the snot out of your nose from crying, and you go and do something to change your predicament in life. Stop trying to take the easy way out. To me, something like this, somebody decides to do something like that when they're making excuses for where they are in life. They're making excuses for why they're not where they want to be, and maybe they're not as liked that they want to be. I understand that mental health happens and people have mental issues, but some people are just fucking weak. Sometimes you have to do something constructive and take some criticism to become who you eventually want to be. Don't take the coward way out and think somebody's going to feel sorry for you, and that you taking innocent lives is going to be some way to get some type of infamy or something. I'm kind of glad they haven't released the person's name yet, because the person's not going to get any pub on my channel. I'm not going to mention the person's name on here, but I just kind of wanted to rap with you guys real quick, because this happened in my home state, and I know it's not an easy answer. I think people can own guns legally. I think people can handle them responsibly. There does need to be more mental health requirements to own a gun legally. That is what I'm saying is part of this. But I also want to see more of an emphasis put towards making sure that these kids that are in these schools are getting more mental health evaluations. That's got to be the key, because this is just not normal. This is not healthy. And we can't keep going on like this with the society, because our youth, a lot of our youth are just mentally weak. And it's unfortunate. So to everybody that lost family, loved ones during this incident, condolences to you and your family. Shouldn't have to go through that. You're trying to go to freaking school, and then some disturbed person decides to take your life when you're in school, just trying to make it, just trying to figure it out in life. Those kids that survived and those teachers and stuff, they're going to have PTSD now. They're going to need mental health therapy. All because someone decided to make the choice to go and delete people. It's just sad, man. So, yeah, this isn't a very upbeat episode. I didn't want it to be. I'll leave you with this. You're going to have more conflict. You're going to have more times in your life where you're facing adversity, when you're feeling down. I'm not saying I'm not perfect. Everybody has times where they don't feel their best. And I'm sure I'm going to have more times like that in my life. But you can weather yourself. You can harden yourself. You can have awareness to realize that everything is not about you. You cannot affect anything that happens to you. Things are going to happen to you, but you can affect and you can change how you react to whatever comes your way. Okay? If you don't like the situation you're in, if you don't like your life, if you want to make more money, if you want to have better living conditions, if you're being bullied, you only can change how you respond to that moving forward. And I think the main thing that I'm trying to just tell you today is don't give up. What that dude did, what that guy did, he just gave up. Don't do that. Don't be a quitter. You know a surefire way that you'll be able to win? Is deciding, hey, I'm not where I want to be right now, but yeah, this sucks right now, this position that I'm in right now, but you know what? It's going to make me better moving forward because I'm not going to give up on my life and take a sucker way out. And I'm going to strive and get better. And I'm going to grow and I'm going to learn from each situation. And I'm going to ask questions on how I could become the person I want to be. And I'm going to seek mentors. I'm going to seek guidance. And I'm going to have a belief in myself that, you know what? Yeah, things aren't the best right now. But that doesn't mean that's always going to be that way. And I'm speaking to whoever I can right now who's watching this video or watching it on audio. I know there's young people who are on YouTube. I know there's young people who listen to podcasts, and I'm just reaching out to you, hopefully adding some value to you and letting you know that your life matters. You matter as a person. And if you're being bullied, if you have a low self-esteem, you can't change how people behave and you can't change what comes at you, but you can dictate and change how you react to it. Because I know it's a lot of kids that go through that. And I don't have kids right now, but I can only imagine what those parents felt like when they got the calls from their loved ones and the parents who didn't get a call. Not something a parent should ever have to deal with, but it's the life that we live in this day and age now. That students can't be safe just trying to learn. Go to school. So, man, yeah, that's all I got for y'all today. This has been another episode of the Karat Juice Podcast. I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you on YouTube for watching. If you enjoyed this content, go ahead, like the video, please, for the YouTube algorithm. I promise you that other content that I have is not going to be this serious and deep, but I just had to get this off my chest right off the rip. And subscribe to the channel to get more content like this if you enjoyed this. And like I say every time, love somebody, hug somebody, do something good for someone, not expecting anything in return. And I'll see you guys in the next full podcast episode next week. Take care of yourselves. Peace.